button. Didn't start the record button at the very beginning, but we talked about 5 major cities in the United States. We listed 5, kind of compared some of the characteristics that they have to it. And now we're going to start comparing those to some of the ones in South America that we have. All right. So the first couple ones to look at, Teotihuacan. Okay. So let's say it one more time, then you're going to say it on the count of 3. Teotihuacan. 1, 2, 3. Teotihuacan. There you go, with a little bit of enthusiasm. 1, 2, 3. Teotihuacan. There you go. Good. All right. So the next one that you're going to see is Tenochtitlan. Okay. Tenochtitlan. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Tenochtitlan. There you go. So that one sounded good right there. Now you're like in, it's like when the Spanish class learning America or the American class learning Spanish, and you're having to repronounce all those words right there. So what do those have in common? Those are the major civilizations in Central America. Those are the major civilizations in Mexico during this time period, especially with the Aztec people. Okay. What is present day Mexico City? So if you're sitting in South Texas and you're at Padre Island and you drive to your southwest going into the Mexican Valley, that is where you're going to find Mexico City, which again is a major metropolis area that is there. Some of the common characteristics, if you look over here at this board that's there, this is what our normal build of a city looks like. Okay, there is a city block. There's a house that faces the street, a house that faces the street, a house that faces the opposite street. The backyards butt up against each other. And then there's a road that has direction and all the way around. Okay, if you get into some larger areas, some of those have one-way streets. All right, but there is a definitive organization of the city. You're going to get into an assignment later on whenever we get into the Industrial Revolution. It's called the urban game. You're going to create your own city. It's harder than it sounds because you don't ever know how the city necessarily is going to grow. Okay. Believe it or not, in Stephenville, back whenever I was around your age, it seemed like whenever you were driving out toward Walmart, the road that connects Henderson to Walmart, like that was kind of the end of Stephenville. You know what I mean? They had the Bosque River Center, but there wasn't hardly anything out there. If you went from Stephenville to Dublin, there wasn't very in between Stephenville and Dublin like there is now. Now it seems like you're just, boom, Stephenville and Dublin are kind of connected to each other. But the town of Stephenville has grown a load since early 2000s, as far as that goes. It will continue to grow a lot with the expansion of Division I of Tarleton and kind of, moving with the Tarleton town. So with that growth of a city, what's usually located in the center of a town? The courthouse, okay? The idea of government, the idea of organization of the city, and it's kind of the same thing, whether it's like the King's Palace or the major part of worship, there's something that is centrally located and then the city builds out from it, okay? They still show some pictures and it's still present today of overcrowding. Too many people move to the city. You can see some of those images of like, a wall built and there's like shanty towns on the side where there's no organization. They're built into the side of the town to where, a street may go here and bend and curl and go back there. And then you look on the other side and there's perfect organization of city blocks of streets that go through. Kind of like Times Square, that V that's up there. You got a one-way going this way, you got a way going this way, huge billboard in the middle. The idea of the organization level of it, if the city grows faster than the city can stay organized, they're still going to put people in it because they have to have houses, they have to have stuff that's built. But you would like to be able to build the city with some form of organization in the center, making sure that you can get rid of waste products further away from the city, making sure that your agricultural needs are met, but they're to a side to where the workers can still get to and from, to where the harvest can still return to the center of the city to be dispersed and things like that. So there's some key points that have to be organized to be able to kind of understand that right there, okay? So if we look into this, what we're going to try to look at as our main objectives today are, number one, describe Teotihuacan and the Toltec cultures of what's in the Valley of Mexico. Describe the Aztec society, the religion and it's overall, like we were talking about, it's urban planning. Identify the factors that led to the decline of the Aztecs. So the same way that we looked at what was the declining reasons of the Mayans, we're going to see what happened to the Aztec. Okay, their calendar, their art, their architecture, the evidences that they left behind are what archaeologists, historians examine. So then that way they can kind of have a better understanding of what exactly did happen. So it says, through alliances and conquests, the Aztec created a powerful empire in Mexico. So what is present day Mexico City again? It says while the Mayan were developing their civilizations to the south, other high cultures were evolving in central Mexico. Some of the most important developments took place in and around the Valley of Mexico. This valley, where modern Mexico City is located, eventually became the site of the greatest empire in Mesoamerica, the Aztec. The Aztec were preceded by two other important civilizations that trace their ancestry. So the Olmecs and the Zapotec peoples. You will learn about those later on as we go through. So some of the key points that are in this section, again, this kind of the understanding of what the valley was like, what it was made up of, the architectural basis of it, the road system, the overall build of the city itself. Talks a little bit about its empire, how long it lasted, how it built it to what it is, what it did with its enemies that it conquested, how it got to the growth that it was. The idea of the city plan, and kind of understanding of how that will build future cities by people understanding how the city was. What religion played a part in it and how major religion was. The idea of the sun god, the idea of the war god, the idea of having multiple gods, one to please and two to praise at the same time. And then eventually the problems that would arise and lead to their downfall. Okay, so on the board up here, the 6 questions are what you're going to look for specifically in your notes. All right, number 1 says, why was the Valley of Mexico a good site for civilizations to grow? Okay, generally valleys, of course, are good places for protection. They're also good places for agricultural growth that's there. You'll find that in there. Number 2, what was the city of Teotihuacan like? Number 3, what kind of class structure did the Aztec have? Number 4, how was the city of Tenochtitlan structured? So how was it socially class structured? How was it built structure? What was the overall city like itself? How did the Aztecs worship the sun god? And why did the Aztec empire begin to grow weak? So like yesterday, you had to create 10 points, okay, on each red subheading. Today's a little shorter because you have 6 questions that you need to answer kind of broadly that are in there, but that gives you a good grasp of what is in there. Your 5 key points to make sure that you have within these 6 questions, okay? Members of the Triple Alliance, okay? So who was in the Triple Alliance? What was the name of the war god? Teotihuacan, how did its overall empire continue to grow? The exact location of Tenochtitlan. And then the Aztecs conquered people. How did they treat them? We talked about previous cultures, allowed them to keep their own religion. Some of them were forced to slavery. Some of them were killed on the spot. How did the people of the Aztecs, how did they treat the people that they ended up conquering and going through? Okay, this is what you're going to find in chapter 16, section 3. Again, key points will help you with your quiz going through. 6 questions will give you guidance as to what to put in your notes for the section. Anybody have any questions about anything? All right, everybody good? All right, roll on then.